Okay, so great. Thank you, Nan. So the first question is about your interest on the topic of quality, the quality of education, then the quality of discussion relating higher education, and then particularly this discussion particularly applied to the topic of e-learning. How do you got to that point, and why were you interested in this focus quality in education?
So I think there are two reasons for me to really go into this topic. One factor is my doctoral supervisor, Professor Gislandi, because when I start my doctoral study, she's working on this topic. So it's one of the reasons for me to think about this topic. And another is due to my educational background. So for my undergraduate study, my major is information management and information science. So I think all the courses I have learned in the 4 years is try to use information system to optimize business processes and improve the efficiency of management. So I think the general idea is to use the technology to transform the companies. And in my master's study, I studied the library and information science. So I still the key word in my major is still information science. So we try to use a lot of technologies, and we try to handle the data. For example, in my topic, usually we extract a lot of structured data from the scientific papers, like the title, keywords, authors, or citations, and we use all this data to try to explore the hot topic in a field, or try to understand who are the main researchers, lead researchers in a topic, and how to build a knowledge graph regarding a topic. So both my undergraduate study and my master study, I try to use information science, use data in different scenarios. And for quality, it's really a concept that comes from management. So it's very related to my prior study. And I think when I think about e-learning, or we think about higher education in general, it's about education. And if we think about e-learning or quality in higher education, I think the general idea is we try to use the technologies to transform higher education, to improve the, either we call it business of higher education, or other management or teaching learning. It's the general idea is to transformation. So I think that's why I'm quite interested in the topic, because I already have some like learning experience and also research experience in other scenarios regarding data information technologies.
Very interesting, relating for sure to an interdisciplinary perspective on the problem of quality. And we very much discussed about the quality as something which is multi-perspectives and multi-layered, and you do also at your book. So my next question is, how are actually contributed and contributed in your past research to the quality in higher education and e-learning in higher education?
So I think there are several aspects I have been doing in this topic. The first is about quality assurance, or we could say to thinking about tools for quality evaluation, because we write a paper on quality models, we try to raise the idea of mediated quality. It's because when we understand different quality models, there are different cultures, there are different meanings of quality behind the models. So we try to understand how to try to find the common features of all these cultures to make it harmonize in the practice. So this is one aspect. And another aspect is regarding my doctoral study is to really think about how e-learning could have a positive impact on quality teaching in higher education. And I try to explore how university teachers perceive quality teaching, and also how their strategies to achieve quality teaching, and how they think about the value of technologies for their teaching quality. So it's mainly about practice for quality teaching. And the third aspect I'm doing now is regarding learning analytics. So I think the general idea behind this topic is to effectively use the data and analysis method to provide evidence and to provide evidence for decision making, either for how to teach or how to learn. So it's this line. And in this aspect, we have done like how to use data-driven modeling to analyze student engagement with the aim of improving the practice. Because usually if you read literatures in learning analytics, you will find a lot of researchers from computer science. And you will find actually their interest is now to really improve the practice, but their interest is to optimize the algorithm. So because they are very good at optimizing algorithms, about like data mining, about visualizing, about tools development. So they are very kind of technician point of view to explore education, but their results of learning analytics may not really contribute for teachers or practitioners on how to develop, how to design their teaching. So that's why we try to focus on this weakness to think about what educational researchers could contribute to the field of learning analytics. And also I have collaborating with university teachers, and we try to develop platforms to automatically collect students' learning trajectories. And I could make an example because, for example, in the software engineering, the students, they need to learn how to build a model and how to make a draft on the functions of the software. So they need to use this platform to make everything step by step. And in this type of tools, we could collect all the sequences of students' learning trajectory. And based on this data, we could understand how much they have learned based on modeling how to develop a software. So this kind of data is, we could say it's new data, because in the traditional way, we cannot collect the data because all this data is in their brain. And because based on this tool, we could really make this data explicit. So it's kind of another type of learning analytics we are doing now. And then also you already mentioned the recent published paper is about how stakeholders data literacy contributes to student success. So I think this is the last aspect I'm doing regarding the topic. Is I think is try to see the picture in a holistically view. It's kind of systematic view. We just stand on a top level, and we try to see how the system is operating and how the different agents are collaborating, or how they have some dependence among each other. So I think there are 4 aspects, either something I have done or I'm doing now regarding this topic.
Yes, exactly. I just wanted to tap into that specifically, Nan, because talking about the data usages to the quality of higher education in e-learning, as you said, the fact that you are developing new approaches to not to just focus on the algorithm, but to see algorithms in practice and to the service of teaching and learning, there are for sure potentials and perils. And in your article, you say that data is socially produced by the stakeholders. And the motivation of these stakeholders, and you depicted this recently, the engineers, software engineers, for example, and the understanding of what data is for them, or in the actionable side of data, for example, recommendation algorithms, prescriptive analytics, and so on, influence data practices. For example, a software engineer will like to extract the more it's possible, whereas maybe there will be some ethical concerns. Could you deepen on the exploration you made in your article, and how could you accommodate all these different perspectives, and which are the needs, the data literacy needs for these several stakeholders in a setting aiming at quality?
I think it's very important, and the question very hard to answer. So I think I just first show, because you mentioned about the stakeholders, so I just show the main model we have, goal-oriented analysis we have done regarding this topic. So actually in this figure, you will find out, first I want to just introduce how to see this figure. So in this circle, it will represent a role, either it's a student or faculty member. They are all different type of stakeholders. And in this boundary, it's try to make a collection of about the goal of this stakeholder and their task regarding to achieve the goal. And with all the links, there are dependencies. So I think even we don't really need to introduce every content in this figure, but I think you will have a general idea regarding the figure. Is you will find they have a lot of dependencies among each other. So for example, we could see for students, their main goal is student success. And for teachers, faculty members, regarding teaching, their goal is about quality teaching. And for professional and support staff in the universities, their goal is to offer quality services regarding students' educational experience in the university. And there is also another important stakeholder, which is employers. And even their goal is not directly related to student success, but they have already done they have a lot of resources regarding the goals of other stakeholders to support them to achieve their goals. So I think in this figure, we try to build a holistic view on how different stakeholders could influence each other regarding student success based on their goals. So you will find there are a lot of data relating about their task that directly contribute to the goal. So that's why when we say if we want to achieve student success, it's not only the responsibility of students. It's about all the relevant stakeholders, how they could fulfill their responsibility in order to support the students to achieve their final goal, to success in their study. So that's why, if we think about the data they have been using, have been generating or analyzing in different stakeholders, how we could make sure the different stakeholders they have already fulfilled their responsibility regarding their task about handling the data and make it ready for the next stakeholder to use in order to finally to achieve or offer the service for students to achieve success. And another slide we could also see is it's a very general matrix about a different type of data literacy. So there are mainly there are 4 competence areas about collection, about management, about evaluation, and about application. And there are different concrete skills within every area of the competence. And if we go back to this figure, you will find regarding their different tasks, actually they have different competence they need to acquire in order to make the whole process of data handling smoothly. So it's, I think I don't really need to fully make the topic, but I think I just want to give you a flavor that it's very important to think about student success from a holistic point of view, to really introduce different stakeholders and how their literacy could really change their responsibility regarding the data handling and finally affect students' success.
Well, this is great, Nan, because it introduces an idea that we cannot design just from scratch learning analytic systems and to pretend them to have impact on students' success. But we must think about all the process of data collection, wrangling, organizing, and system for giving access to all stakeholders to that data, the types of representation that make sense for all stakeholders in order for them to support the final goal of achieving student success as quality, as dimension of quality, of course. So I think this is relevant, very relevant, in the sense that nowadays we are thinking mostly about data science possibilities. We are yet sticked to data science possibilities. There are several discourses relating data because, for example, there are other positive discourses relating opening data, that need of transparency that obliges the public administration bodies to open data. I don't know which the situation is in China relating these very hot topics, but we do not have yet an harmonization of all these data points and data collection points, which lead to an integrated vision of data-driven practices supporting student success and the need of collaboration between stakeholders. So there is, of course, questions you might have expected in this talk. And that relates to the contrasts and common issues in the agenda for quality in higher education, data practices for quality in higher education between China and Europe. For example, here there is a lot of debate about data privacy. I don't know whether you are aware relating the GDPR, for example. And there is a lot of chaos, of course. about how national systems are dealing with the issues of data collection and sharing across EU countries with different cultures and different approaches. Could you comment a little bit relating what you see in China and which are the hot topics, the concerns, and the future?
Okay, so I think regarding this topic, I think the European approach about GDPR is the most famous regulation now in the world. And I think the majority of us will agree that the European approach is the strictest approach regarding data privacy in general. For example, because now we are talking about data, and also actually we are talking about artificial intelligence, because now it's also a big topic for us, and it's also technology that will really transform our life and education in this field. So I think a European approach is the most strictest approach regarding protect data. And I think in the past, China has chosen approach which is more flexible, in the sense that the companies could really get a lot of data from the customers. For example, in my mobile phone, there are a lot of apps, and they will have a notification for me before I use to ask me, do you accept the regulations of the data used in my company? But I think at that time in the past, I can't really choose not, because if I choose no, then I can't use this app. So I think this situation is changing, because we're also realizing, also we have be aware that data privacy and also data protection is very important, and we try to change the role of this game. So I suppose, I know I forgot the name of this policy, but I think very soon we will have a new policy, in the sense that the app developed by the company won't just push us to put the accept button. So we have the right to choose not to offer our data to them. And it's about the data. And regarding data using in higher education, I think I also read some papers regarding situations in Europe, and I think there are a lot of good practice going now. For example, I read an EU report in 2017, and in this report, they introduced countries like Portugal, Estonia, Denmark, and also UK. They already try to launch plans in order to establish big data in higher education. And they try to integrate data across sectors, like education, like other sectors, and also across different educational levels, like from K-12 to higher education. And I think China is also trying to integrating the data. And for example, in Beijing here, I know some universities, they have already integrated their data system, and they already try to explore the evidence-based policy making within their universities. But there are also some universities that are still in the process of integrating, because I think nowadays data is like an asset. It's not only about data. It's kind of asset for universities. And if we look into universities, it's the asset for some departments. And so the steps in this department, naturally they have a intention to protect their data. they don't want to share their data to other departments. And also, I think this phenomenon is also applicable for the national level. For example, if we think about the educational sector, they have all the data regarding students, teachers, learning, other things. If we can't really find a common goal for the educational sector with other sectors, they don't have motivation to share their data to others. So I think in this sense, it's a common issue for different levels of organization or different countries because it's so common. But I think based on different cultures, also different approach of data protection, maybe different regions will have their different strategies to proceed the integration, and also it will influence the pace of how the data really integrated and how they could handle in terms of how to open the data for the public or how to open the data to the to other stakeholders in order to really make good use of this data, to exploit all the value of the data in order to achieve the shared goal.
That's great, Nan. Very, very good points in the sense that what I got from your talk very clearly is that we need common goals, negotiated goals, and then to think about the systems of data wrangling, data sharing, and data protection. So we need to think about the social structures, the institutional structures, and then to think about the information structures for sure. So it's very much aligned with your disciplinary field of training. So I don't know whether you want to make any comment. I think this very interesting short talk is reaching the end, and maybe there will be some questions. If you want to write questions, you can use the chat. So we will post the questions to Nan. Nan, I don't know whether you have any question, any final comments or concerns or ideas relating your future research, for example, while we wait for some questions.
Thank you. So I think I just showed the last slide.
Wow.
So I made this slide at the time I'm thinking, really reflecting my different educational background and my topics. And I think even some of them, they are not, some of them, they are connected to each other, but some of them, they have like in different levels, like in macro level, in the macro level. And I think the common mindset for me is to really think the object I'm trying to study as a complex system. That's why I make this slide called complex system. It's a basic form. Either it's a galaxy, or it's a rainforest, or it's a brain, or it's about the stakeholders in an organization. I think when we see it as a complex system, we try to understand the connections, the dependencies of different agents. For example, if we go to the micro level, we go to think about the teaching and learning, we will try to understand the agents like teachers, students, and also the interventions, the tools, the platforms we are using. And the dependencies among them will be like data. This is the most obvious connections or dependencies among them. So in this idea for my future study, I will try to further explore stakeholders' point of view, because student success is only an aspect of quality in higher education. And when we say higher education, it has a lot of different functions. So for teaching and learning, it's only like student success is only the aim of teaching and learning. And we also have the aim of research and knowledge transfer. We go to offer public service. Like for example, during the COVID-19, and I subscribed to the notification of the Hopkins University. So daily they will send me the updates of the COVID-19 and the number of the infections and the number of deaths. So everything, and I think they provide a very quality service for the public. So that makes me reflect on how our higher education could really behave in the society, because higher education is a very special type of education, if we say it, because for K-12, they have not so much connections and dependencies with external world. They have a very closed system, but higher education, they have a big impact on regional or a national status about economy, about culture, about research, about science, about technology. So they have so much dependencies within other kind of, we could say, systems. So it's a very complex issue for us to explore. So I think there are a lot of things regarding quality of higher education if we really think about stakeholders. And regarding different aspects of quality, they will have a different set of co-stakeholders regarding the quality aspect. And there are so much things we could study in order to make the system better, to try to optimize the things and to try to transform the system into a better place. That's my final comment.
That's amazing. Very, very timely, very, very timely, relating the very fast, for example, the evolution of higher education dialogue with the society in the rush for the COVID-19.